First big broad question for you, because there's so many exciting elements of this production. Going into filming, which part of it were you most excited to tackle? But then also, what is something that wound up being more creatively fulfilling than you ever could have imagined?
Wow. So I think going into it, the most exciting thing was just the canvas space. It's like I've never had the opportunity to make something. I mean, we shot for 100 and something days, you know. My first movie I shot in 19 days. I think my second movie, I got it up to 24. So like this was, you know, playing on a canvas that was so much bigger. And just as a director, there was very little that I wanted to do that they said no to, or said, oh, we don't have the money or the time for that. You know, it was sort of like, they really encouraged me to think big and to actually, so that was really cool. And the thing that I knew would be great, but you just never know before you start casting, is the experience with the actors. And obviously it's a Disney movie, it's a big studio movie. I knew I'd be working with movie stars, and what, you know, and everyone in this film is a big movie star, but they're also really wonderful actors and performers. And I learned how to direct, you know, doing theater. And so I have a real love for actors, and I it's not just about looking cute. It's like, let's really find a character here. Let's find a way to tell this story even better than the most obvious thing to think of. And everybody across the board was so passionate about that process. And it was truly, truly bonding, fun, familial experience working with these folks.
Doesn't surprise me to hear that. I'll go to casting next. Can you tell me about your process when working with Carmen Cuba, who's like one of the best in the business, and also because I have a feeling she was heavily involved in finding Chase, who is also phenomenal in this film.
Well, that's the thing about Carmen, is that she thinks about casting in the way that I do. It sort of is like, you absolutely want to find the perfect person for the role, but you also want a surprise. You want somebody who you wouldn't think of. Like, who would think of Owen Wilson as a priest? You know what I'm saying? Like, who would think of, and of course, Chase Dillon, the first person she said, the first person just out the gate. And of course, I'm like, you know, I just seen him in Barry Jenkins' show, I was about to call it Emancipation, but the Underground Railroad, excuse me. And I thought he was so brilliant in that. And he is truly a remarkable young man. But the thing about Carmen is that she knows how to use a cast to tell multiple stories, not just the story that's on the page, but other kinds of cultural stories, putting people in places you don't expect to necessarily see them, and putting, you know, there's so many cameos in this movie too. And one of the things that we had a lot of fun doing on my last film, Bad Hair, is making a meal out of these little small moments and parts. And so there were so many opportunities to do this in this film, and I think she just knocked it out of the park.
All right, I'll bring up one of your, I mean, this isn't a cameo, this is a significant role in the film. I want to talk about Jared Leto and working with him, because there's a quote that I caught in the production notes here. So he's giving a voice performance, but you said he put so much work into the character and so much thought into every choice that he makes. So can you give me an example of a choice he made in his voice performance that someone might say, like, that's trivial, that's a little thing, but it wound up being really impactful and shaping that character?
Well, first of all, when we first started talking about the character, I mean, we had a real in-depth series of conversations about where this guy is from, what he is thinking, you know, because he is just he starts off as a visual sight gag on this ride that doesn't even have a name. Eventually, you know, fans start calling him Hatbox Ghost, and now he's canon, and now he's part. So like, you have some things to go off of, but not really a lot else, you know, and down to not just the accent, but the way in which he sort of savors certain kinds of words. He really, you know, we came up with a character that really does delight in putting people down and being as petty as possible, and doing so, you know, in the most elaborate fashion. And so we had a lot of fun. We, you know, we played with the dialogue that we had, but Jared also, we just played. There were just like long stretches of Jared just talking, you know, as we're trying to figure out, like, well, how does he laugh? And like, how does he, like, what does he make fun of about people? And, you know, what are his favorite syllables? We spent a lot of time in the weeds on that. And I think it really shows. I mean, you would never know it was Jared Leto unless someone told you. That's how complete a character it is. And yet it's really thoughtful and delightful. I thought it was really fun.
Now, because I'm curious, what is his favorite syllable?
Oh God, Lots of S's. Lots of S's and guttural slaps. Lots of those.
I love that. All right. I have 2 personal questions inspired by this movie. First, I just absolutely love the idea of ghost winks. And I'm a big believer that they do actually happen. So have you experienced one? And if so, what happened?
I've experienced a lot of ghost winks in my life. I mean, I was raised Catholic and my family is from Louisiana. So it's a very specific flavor of Creole Black Catholic culture. And growing up that way, ghosts were just a matter of fact. You know what I'm saying? Like there was nothing spooky, or it was just you expected that to happen. And I got to say, the one that I think about often is a close friend of mine in high school. His name was Deontay. I named a character after him in my TV show, Dear White People. So I've told this story before, but he passed at a really young age. And a voice message that he had left me maybe 2 years prior, and that I had heard at the time and deleted, to me, it was just very innocuous. It popped up on my phone the day he passed, out of nowhere. And listening to this message in that context, it was a goodbye message. It was, he thanked me for our friendship, and he recounted on, some of the good things that we were going, that we did together. And he kind of put a blessing on my life and my future endeavors. And again, when he sent that message to me 2 years before, I was like, oh, that's sweet. But it coming back on my phone after I absolutely deleted it the day I found out he passed, certainly felt like a ghost wink. And I remember I was like in the Target of like a Ross, or I was in the parking lot of a Target and a Ross. And I just wept because I felt him. I felt his presence with me.
What a beautiful example. Mine's a red bird in my backyard. I'm convinced it's my grandfather.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just shows up exactly when I need him.
Yep. Yeah.
I could talk to you all day about your movie. I'm not allowed to. I have to leave. I will say congratulations.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Such a good time.